Welcome to the Riding in the Weeds podcast, where we tackle life's inevitable challenges, from navigating mountain bike trails to overcoming business hurdles and forging deeper connections with pets and people. It's easy to find yourself tangled in the weeds, but we're here to help with insights and strategies that'll get you out of the weeds. Our goal is to boost your performance in both sports and everyday life by sharing essential skills that we've learnt along the way. Through tales of our entrepreneurship journey, thrilling biking adventures, and fostering meaningful relationships, your hosts, Natasha, Lockey, and Ginny, Branden, will guide you on a journey that's not only enjoyable, but also inspiring. Join us to gain confidence that you need to navigate the trails of life. Welcome to Riding in the Weeds. You are here with us. It is episode 81, and today we are just talking about moving through the hard stuff. This is a conversation for you if you've been feeling a little bit stuck, if you feel like sometimes you're just like, what is wrong with me and why can't I just do it? So we're going to dig into that, and we've got some strategies. We've got an in-depth conversation about why sometimes forcing yourself through is not actually going to get you the result. So I'm Natasha Lockey. I am a life and mountain bike performance coach. I'm all about helping you to move through the challenges in your life so that you can actually feel like you are living your dream life. And I am joined by my amazing co-host, Ginny Branden, who I will let introduce herself and we'll get going.
Yeah, I'm Ginny Branden. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too.
So yeah, the whole idea of this topic today, for me personally, it came from a quote that I saw the other day, which really spoke to the journey I've been on. And the quote was that you can't heal by pretending you're not hurt. Healing begins when you stop hiding from the truth, and it ends when the truth is no longer your enemy. And Corey Mascara is the person who that quote came from. And what this spoke to me is, I've been working with a counselor, and very often she is absolutely astounded by the things that come out of my mouth. And she is constantly reflecting back to me that I've been through a lot. And then I've got a lot of excuses if I want them, right? And it's not that we're looking for excuses or I'm looking for validation that I can not do. But the point being that when you're mountain biking and you come across something that terrifies the bejesus out of you, just feeling the fear and doing it anyway is not the strategy, right? You've actually got to look at what is going on, and you've got to really acknowledge where the fear is coming from, because the fear is real. The resistance is real, and we can't just push through. That only works for a certain amount of time. I've been thinking a lot about this lately. In the self-development industry, everybody's saying the same thing, and they tell you this story of where they've come from and where they're going, and they leave a few key pieces out which make the story sound a little bit better. And it's like, I've overcome so much, and then you get to the end of it and you're like, wow, I suck, because you're not at the end of their story. You're not even really at the beginning of the story. You are stuck floundering somewhere in the middle, and it's really hard to actually identify. And for me anyway, I don't know about you, Ginny, but I get to this point where I'm feeling like, well, that's good for you, and I want to turn it off, and it makes me feel actually worse about myself. It does not give me a vision. It does not give me a goal, and it gives me absolutely no tools. It just gives me another laundry list of things that I can feel bad about that I'm not doing.
The reality is that when we're looking at other people who may be able to give us good advice, the bigger picture is that we will never really be able to truly grasp the volume of the messy middle. And I think the majority of life is a messy middle.
Messy middle. You put that so well.
There's no... The destination is not ever... Like, you never arrive. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real end to all of this. You can be in the middle of self-development until you die at 100 years old. And I mean, I never want to stop learning and I never want to stop growing, because I think that's one way to die in a way. But by the same token, we have to recognize at some point that the continual push and strive and grind to be better and to achieve something is largely driven by our capitalist society.
Oh, it's so true.
And when there are so many companies and corporations that stand to profit off of you making a change and you being a better version of you, then we have to recognize that we'll forever be in that rat race. We'll forever be trying to be better and do better. And it gets to a point where you just burn out. You just can't handle doing one more hard thing, doing one more challenging thing to, quote, make a change for the better. And you just you hit the end of your rope.
I saw a comment on a post recently, and it was like some 55-year-old, like, look at me, I'm 55 and I'm ripped and I'm all of this fitness and that. And someone was like, oh, good, now we get to feel bad about our bodies at 55 too. You know, there's always been this, like, once you get to your mid-50s, you actually, as a female, you're like, you know what, I don't actually care what anyone thinks of me. It only matters what I think about myself. But, you know, as you say, this capitalistic world that we live in, this consumerism is like, oh, no, we're now like what used to be your 40s, where you got to feel bad about your mum body or whatever, and the diet industry. Well, now they've realized that they can actually target this. As a woman who from 45 to 55, your body is in a complete mess, and you are just bombarded by, oh no, it's your hormones, oh no, it's this, oh no, if you do this, if you eat this way, if you don't eat this way, if you just actually stop eating altogether, like, there are 500 different ways that you can solve this problem, but my way is the way that it's going to work. And if you just buy my product for $40 in the next 30 days, everything will change.
Yeah.
And
then it doesn't.
And then it doesn't. Or if you just do my course, I have a free masterclass coming up. It's 5 days long, and I'm going to help you with this, that, and the other things. No, you're going to try and sell me on your program that you're going to do that's going to help me with that thing. And this industry just leaves us feeling more and more and more empty, which, if you're sitting here feeling a little bit like, yeah, I get that, that's because that's how we're supposed to feel. Ginny and I actually did a program. It was a free 5-day class on journaling, somatic journaling. And we've talked about this before. And it was pretty funny, because I got to the end of it and I was like, well, where's the sales pitch? I was almost mad at the lady because she didn't actually give me any way to give her any more money. It was so interesting. And I love her now, and I follow her, and I think she's great. And that course was transformational for me. It changed the way I thought about things. And the coolest thing is, she started the course by saying, we're doing this because most people can't sit down and meditate for 5 minutes. And if you can't sit down and meditate for 5 minutes, taking out a pen and a piece of paper and just writing for 7 minutes is like the gateway drug. And this will get you through the door. And this will start to transform everything. And you know what? She was right. And she didn't sell me something at the end saying that you now need my help to keep going with this. She said, I've now given you the tools. Let me know how you go.
Yeah. And it's wild to think that approach is so revolutionary in our world. But it is. And it's kind of sad that it is. But yeah, we've all been conditioned that there's always a sale. There's always something to look out for. And when we live in that kind of thing, that we're just constantly inundated with it becomes just reactionary. No wonder we're burned out. On top of that, you throw in the fact that most of us spend 4, 5, 6, 7 hours on a screen every day. Our world is very internally based now. I'm still harping on the Mindfulness Redesigned book because it really has blown my mind in so many different ways. But that's the whole reason he wrote the book, is because he recognized that 3,000 years ago, when, quote, mindfulness was developed, it mostly started with the Buddha. When it was developed, your day was spent figuring out how you're going to survive. Maybe not in the like, I'm going to die if I don't do this way, because there were cities and people were organized back then as well. But you had to be concerned about where your next meal was coming from because you didn't have refrigeration. There was no way to keep anything. So every meal was prepared. And you had to think about that and plan about that. You were connected to that external process. You were connected with making sure that your shelter was maintained and weatherproof. That process was a lot more active than it is today. My roof only gets redone every 15 years, 20 years, if I'm lucky. My house is brick. There's very little external maintenance on my house. Yep. So overall, there's not that external attachment to our world anymore. Our world is internal. And I think that is just one of the reasons that we end up mired in this resistance of figuring out what to do, because we're absolutely just inundated with things that require an internal input. And it's no wonder we can't sit on our butt and meditate for 5 minutes. We can't stand it because there's nothing in our external world that's tying us here, that's helping us feel connected to the process of being alive on a basic normal level. Even our meals are 3/4 pre-prepared. The fact that I tend to do scratch cooking when I actually manage to cook is abnormal. And that means that Tasha's over there on the fringes because her way of life is so different from what the average person experiences. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners are not quite the norm that's out there of the average person. And that's great. That means you're more connected. And so having that to be able to reconnect you with that daily rhythm and that daily sustenance and survival, I think ties us back into what we need in order to get out of that resistance and get out of that inability to do things that we should be able to do that are going to make us feel better. Because that's really when the resistance comes up, is I didn't want to cook dinner last night. But I knew that actually taking the time to prepare the meal, mashed potatoes were probably not as healthy as they could have been, but everything else was pretty decent. It was homemade. So even if the mashed potatoes weren't the best thing, they were at least homemade. So it's better than French fries from Lord knows where. But I knew I would feel better if I did it. But man, was that hard to get started last night. I'm not even going to lie. It was really, really hard.
Well, and I think that that's a really good example. Actually, before I go into that, I am going to just remind everybody that if you are enjoying our podcast, please, if you're on YouTube, hit the bell, subscribe, like, add a comment. We'd really appreciate it. Our home is on Substack, so you can subscribe to our channel over there. And if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify or any of those places, please take a moment to leave us a review. We would be really grateful, and it helps other people find us. And we forget to tell you this, so I just wanted to pop that in. I was listening to Mel Robbins' podcast, and shout out to other creators out there. And what she was talking about was that we have this supercomputer inside of our brain, and the supercomputer does one thing. It focuses on projects. And if we don't give it a project, it's the same as our animals. If our animals don't have something to do, they get bored, they chew things, they want a job. Our brain is the exact same way, right? Our brain wants a job. And if it doesn't have a job, it's like, cool, well, let's fix the human because I got nothing else to do, right? So even just that taking that small step of being like, okay, it's dinner time, and getting out the potatoes and washing them and putting them in a pot and putting it on to boil, and taking out the meat and figuring out how you're going to cook the meat. And doing that is in itself a way to externalize the supercomputer. The supercomputer now has a job. It's making dinner. For me lately, it's been a case of I have to wash the dishes and I don't want to wash the dishes. So I get up and I walk towards the sink and I turn the water on and I start running the water. And it takes a 4-liter jug of milk bottle before my hot water comes through the tap. And I hate wasting water. So if I'm going to turn the tap on and get hot water, then I better well use it because I've now wasted all this water to get the hot water. So I'm going to wash the dishes. And these are the processes that I'm using to step by step get to the goal of like, I've washed the dishes. And the cool thing is when I'm done washing the dishes, my husband, who has just prepared this amazing meal for me, says to me, "Thank you so much for washing the dishes." And I'm like, well, thank you for making dinner so that we had dishes, to eat, right? Or to eat off of, or we made dirty dishes. And I'm always astounded by the fact that he does the same thing. He walks into the kitchen and he's like, don't want to make dinner. And then he pulls out the food and he puts it in a pot. And then this roast lamb and vegetables comes out. And last night I actually was like, I don't want to do the dishes. So I made a brownie first. And then while the brownie was cooking, I did the dishes. And then while the brownie was cooling, we did our yoga routine. And it was almost like somehow that making of the brownie tied all of the other pieces together because, well, the brownie was only going to take 15, 20 minutes to cool. So that's not a TV show. And it was too late for a TV show. So we did our yoga. These are the little tricks and steps that you can kind of fool yourself into doing the right thing versus sitting down for 15 minutes while the brownie cools and doom scrolling.
Yeah. And I think that in a way, it can be helpful to kind of gamify our life. Whatever little rewards you need, you can use, with the caveat that you can't make a brownie every night. Or maybe you probably shouldn't make a brownie every night. You know, maybe there shouldn't be a food reward attached, but can you decide you're going to listen to your favorite podcast or your favorite music while you do the dishes? Or while you do the thing that you don't want to do, what can you add in that will make it fun? Or what can you do afterwards that will make it fun? Make it a reward. There's a meme that I shared that talks about remembering to take medication. And if you struggle to remember to take medication and you need to do it at a specific time, to give your pet a treat at that time. And then what will happen is your pet will bug you at that time because they know it's time for a treat. And it's pretty brilliant. And we can also just do that with ourselves. That if it's a struggle to make the dishes, well, you don't get to do the thing you want to do until after the dishes are done. Yeah. And if you can gamify it for yourself in some way, even if you have to go buy gold star stickers to put on the refrigerator when you do it or something, like whatever it is that you can use to motivate yourself to just get through, to do a little something. Sometimes the big things can be too hard. And so what's the little something that you can do that will help you feel better in the moment? Is that yoga for 15 minutes? Not an hour, not a giant long hot vinyasa flow. 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah. Is there something that you can do that's small that's going to help you feel better in the moment? Because we just get stuck in the bad feeling. It's our normal, it's our set point, our barometer. And we can't always figure out how to make a change. So we have to start with something little and then keep going because eventually the brain's going to push back. So you have to be able to keep going and say, no, this is what we do and we feel better when we do it.
Well, and on a completely different side of doing this, I've actually found that if I'm going to feel shitty with what I'm not doing, so maybe I'm doom scrolling on Facebook, maybe I'm watching the Property Brothers on TV, maybe I'm, I don't know, not doing anything, just sitting there avoiding all the things that I know I should be doing, and that doesn't feel good, right? So I'm almost roboting myself and being like, well, this isn't fun. I don't like sitting and scrolling on Facebook. And I also don't like doing the dishes. So it's actually not going to change my happiness factor if I don't like doing the dishes or I don't like scrolling. So I'm going to choose the dishes. And I turn off the switch and I just get up and I walk to the sink and my brain says I don't want to. And I say, I know, but I'm going to do it anyway. This morning was a great example. I did not want to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to do my workout. As I was getting up, my brain was like, I don't want to be doing this. And I was like, I know. I don't want to be doing it either. I would much rather stay in bed. But we have an appointment with Ginny to do the podcast, and we are going to do our workout beforehand. And I don't want to do my workout. And as I was doing my workout, it was hard, and I was not enjoying it. And I was like, that's okay. It's okay to not be having fun right now. It's actually just fine. And when we get through this, we're going to do yoga. My back feels kind of sore. So the yoga is actually going to feel good. And it did. But sometimes in the middle of yoga, I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. Is this over yet? And I will go through a lot of my day with my brain in the background going, I don't want to be doing this. This isn't fun. I don't like this. And I'm like, yeah. But what else do you want to do? And there isn't an answer. There isn't something more fun that my brain is going to do. It's like, okay, well, you want to have a nap. Are you going to nap? Well, no. Okay, well, then let's do this. And it's almost like I've gotten to the point where I'm like, cool, I hear you. That's fine. If you can come up with a more fun alternative that fits the bill, we'll do that. You haven't got one? Cool, because I'm going to tell you that sitting in front of the TV is no more fun than doing the dishes right at this moment in time. Actually, doing the dishes is more fun because I can listen to the book, and I'm way more interested in the book I'm listening to than watching some inane TV show, because there's nothing good on TV. It seems like the exact opposite of everything that everybody is saying, but at a certain point, let's just be honest. Is there something you would prefer to do? Because really, is sitting doing nothing making you feel better? But I can guarantee you it feels really good when my husband thanks me for doing the dishes.
Yeah. I think really what you just described is parenting ourselves. I mean, literally, that conversation pretty much sounds like a negotiation with a 2-year-old. You know, because
hey,
guess what? Oh, I don't want to go to bed. Well, guess what? You got to go to bed. It's time to go to bed. And we've talked about this before in an episode. Think of yourself as an animal in a zoo. You're the caretaker. Well, the animal is you. The animal likes a clean cage. The animal likes exercise. The animal likes enrichment. Positive enrichment, not negative stimulation. At some point, you have to be able to grab yourself by the shoulders and be like, well, guess what? I don't care if you don't like it. This is what we need to do to be healthy, to be well, to have a good well-being. I love that, comparing it to the other thing. Well, I don't feel any better scrolling Facebook, but guess what? I'm going to feel better when I walk in the morning and the dishes are clean and there's nothing in the sink. That will make me feel better at that point. Yeah. And so sometimes my trick is like future me is really going to appreciate that. I don't want to do it now. I would rather be sitting on my butt. Doom scrolling isn't going to make me feel any better, but I'd rather be sitting on my butt. Maybe my feet hurt after a long day. But I'm going to appreciate the fact that the kitchen was clean when I come in the morning.
Well, and I think, there's this whole thing about how future me doesn't always work because you don't know future me, so it's easy to just blow her off. But when future me comes out and goes, hey, thanks, and you actually thank yourself for doing that thing. When I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, look, I got some arm definition. I'm like, thanks. Thank you. Thank you for doing that thing that was really good for us. We're a team. Let's work together to pull our socks out of the muck. And when you can recognize that you're in the muck and you didn't do anything wrong, you didn't mess up, you didn't fail, you're humaning, and humaning is hard, and it's getting harder daily. There is a lot of stuff going on that is a challenge, and that's life. There's always been challenges. There's always stuff going on. And listening to the rah-rah of Tony Robbins, or I listen to Kathy Heller. I appreciate Mel Robbins, although I don't think she's quite as mired in the muck as she pretends to be sometimes. But I love the fact that she's actually like, it's not always easy. And here's the science. Here's why, if you do this thing, it will help you in moving through. Not next year, not that you're going to be this, that, or the other thing. Just getting through a day and enjoying it that little bit more without so much judgment, without trying to fix. Because there isn't anything wrong. And looking for what's the vision that you're wanting to hold and working slowly towards that versus my clothes don't fit and I need to fix that problem. Yeah, well, go to the store, buy some new clothes. Right? That's not a vision. That is a problem that you have that now you feel like you need to fix it. And then you eat a chocolate bar and you feel bad about yourself. And so therefore you scroll Facebook and then you feel worse about yourself. And then you take yourself for a walk and you give yourself a good shake. And then that just makes you feel even worse because you've been told off and you're a naughty child. And there is no love in this process. It is purely just a broken toy that eventually you don't want to fix. You just want to throw it in the garbage and go and buy a new one. But like, we can't.
Yeah.
And you are worth more than being thrown in the garbage. Like,
yes. And I think that's the thing, is that when you don't have a vision, it makes it a lot harder to make those decisions. And the challenge is, though, that, okay, so your clothes are not fitting as well as they did right now. We're coming off the holidays. It's winter. It's hard. That doesn't mean anything about you. If you need to go buy clothes that are a size up, that doesn't mean anything about you as a human or your value and your worth. And when we make it mean something, that's when going and buying clothes that actually fit correctly becomes hard, because now it means something about us. Now it means something about our worth. And if we could take it a little bit more at face value and not make it mean anything, it would make our lives a lot easier. And then when you add that vision to the picture, when you add that reason for wanting to do something, it makes it easier to accomplish it, because where you are now doesn't mean anything about where you're going or where you've been. It's not negative. It just is. It's just a point in the map. It's just a point on the journey.
well, and sometimes you can change the reasoning for doing something as well. When you're talking about clothes, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you might need some clothes that are bigger. But what if you've just listened to something that told you that wearing polyester is actually really bad and it brings your vibration, your frequency down? So maybe instead of thinking about going and buying bigger clothes, you think about, you know what, I'm going to go and buy myself something that's made out of linen that feels really good on my body. Or I'm going to go and buy myself an organic cotton t-shirt because that's going to raise my vibration. Maybe taking it out of I'm going to go and buy bigger clothes and going, I'm going to go and buy myself an item. I actually bought myself 3 pairs of Thai bamboo cotton pants online the other day, because they're one size fits all. So they're actually, it's not buying a size up, it's not buying a size down, it's actually just buying a really comfortable pair of yoga pants that will be really nice to hang out in. They'll be perfect, because I hate getting changed from one activity to another. So I can put them on at the end of the day. I have my dinner in them, they'll look nice, and then I can do my yoga in them, take them off and go to bed. So there's not about, I went and bought myself a pair of oversized pants that will make me feel less like I've gained weight or whatever. I've actually bought myself a pair of nice cotton clothing that will suit my lifestyle and the way that I want to be, and they will be good for year round inside my house. I'm now attached a different meaning to it. Yeah. I was thinking I want to start fasting again. Ian and I went through a thing years ago where For 6 weeks, we didn't eat on Mondays. And it was a very cool spiritual experience on all the levels. And I would like to do it again, but I'd been resisting it. And if I actually stop and listen to the voice in my head, my resistance comes from the fact that it is actually a lot of effort to not eat. Like, it takes a lot to not eat. And I remember the last week that we did it, Ian looks at me and said, we're not going to eat tomorrow. It's just kind of hard to not eat. And isn't it funny that something that takes up so much time can actually, it's not like, oh, cool, I'm going to have all this extra time. Instead, you're like, oh, what am I going to fill that space with if it's not thinking about food? Again, the external supercomputer has something to think about when you're thinking about food. It's a good 4 hours of your day you can use to prepare and think about and eat the food. But I would really like for us to maybe do some journaling, or instead of a 15-minute evening yoga practice, maybe we do an hour. So instead of eating, what are those things that I've been saying I don't have time to do? Right? Instead of making my smoothie in the morning, I'll take that 10 minutes and I will journal, because I haven't been making the time for that. Instead of us having dinner, we do yoga for an hour and we go to bed an hour earlier. How can you listen to the voice in your head as if it's a separate entity, if you're one of these people who has a voice in your head, and actually be like, oh my goodness, that's your reasoning? Like, legitimately, that's why you don't want to do that thing? Because if you actually listen to what that voice is saying, you'll find that most of the time the reason is not the one that you think it is.
It's usually a weird, convoluted, backwards. Like, your example's great. I don't want to not eat because it's hard. What does that even mean at that point? So I think when you're making those sorts of decisions, it's important to actually consciously think about how you're going to fill the time or how you're going to adapt and adjust. If you want to start exercising, where is that time going to come from? Because if you don't consciously make a choice to strategically adjust your lifestyle to accommodate that time, then you're going to come up with every reason not to do it, because the time won't exist at that point. Yeah. That's why I think that the 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute thing is so great, because it's pretty easy to put your phone down for 5 or 10 minutes. We've decided we're going to go join the Y and start swimming a couple days a week. Well, that is going to take time. And so one of the parts of the process that I've been aware of is that we need to sit down together and discuss how that's going to look before we get there. Yeah. Because if we don't talk it over before we get there, then we're not going to have a plan for dinner. Guess what that's going to mean? There goes our quality of our meal. We can't trade the exercise for the quality of the meal. That doesn't work. So it's going to mean we're going to need to readjust our dinner plans and figure out a way to accommodate that. Maybe that means making a bigger meal and having leftovers that night so that prep is super easy and quick. But in addition to that, there's going to have to be some trade-offs. And so maybe that means we don't sit and look at our phones or relax in the evening like we have before. We're going to have the conversation about it. And so whether you're doing it with a partner or alone, you need to be able to have the conversation with yourself to figure out what's going to fill my time if you're taking something away. And if you're adding something, how am I going to incorporate that in my time? What is my trade-off at this point? What do I value? And what's my priority? Because if it's your priority, then some other things need to get shifted away from your priority. And frankly, my priority is never doom scrolling. It happens, but it's not ever on my list of things that I just have to get done for the day. It's not there. And I've got to be honest about myself when I catch myself doing it and go, hey, wait a minute. That's not what we're here to do. It's not going to help me feel better, number one. And number two, I will not reach my goals by doom scrolling. There is no magic bullet waiting in the doom scroll to fix my challenges with my business or my horses or my life or whatever. It's not there.
You will find a lot of people trying to tell you that they can fix your problems.
Yes.
And that's the thing, right? Like, okay. And I've actually started like, oh, I do like that. And I send myself a message and then I'm like, stop. Like, just stop. I take a lot of photos of recipes that I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want to make that.
I'm a serial recipe collector.
And then I make them. And that's something I've been doing too. It's like I'm doom scrolling. I'm like, oh, quinoa chickpea flour flatbread. That sounds really good.
Ooh.
No, click. And then I'm over in the kitchen and Ian's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making this chickpea quinoa flatbread. And he's like, okay. And then I make it and then it's really good. And then I eat it. It's actually a process to get myself off of my doom scrolling. And then I'm in the kitchen making an interesting, really simple recipe that's not bad for me. And or I've just taken a photo of a exercise move that I want to try. So I'm like, okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to do that. I'm really trying to, at that point, then I stop and I put the phone down because
I think that's the hard part about the doom scroll, is that there is value in it. Your algorithm curates to exactly what you want to see. And so whether that's comedy or whether that's cute fluffy puppies or whether that's recipes or exercise moves, it's going to keep feeding it to you, which is how it keeps you hooked. But at a certain point, we have to recognize that another recipe, another exercise, another puppy is not going to solve the challenges in the here and now. That's an internal issue, and it's not going to help us get through the issues that we have and the challenges that we want to overcome in the external.
Yeah.
And we have to make the choice to just shut that off and go choose something else to do.
Well, and taking it from the internal to the external. Oh, okay. Well, I'm collecting recipes. Well, are you going to make it right now? Okay, yeah, I will. Are you going to do this exercise? Well, not right now. I'll do it tomorrow morning. Oh, that's a really good tip on how to help my finances. Why don't I put the phone down and make a step towards that?
Yeah.
How can we transform these things? It has really, really helped me acknowledging that I can't really do hard things right now. And I don't want to do hard things. But as I said before, what's my definition of hard? Because it is just as unpleasant to sit here and doom scroll as it is to go and stand and do the dishes. And so I'll just go and do the dishes, being a robot and actually just ignoring the resistance in my head, seeing it, acknowledging it, and making a choice. And maybe that's what it is. I then actually make a choice. And sometimes the choice is, no, I'm not going to do the dishes. I'm going to go and I'm going to find something to watch on TV, and I'm going to watch TV for half an hour because I don't want to do that. And then my husband will say, well, it's 8:30, it's yoga time, so I don't think we want to watch TV right now because we've got to do yoga and then it's time for bed. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're right. I'm not doing the dishes. So, yeah, okay, we'll do the yoga. And it's the choosing. And I think when you start to become really present with the choice that you are making, you do start to make better choices. But when you're not present with the choice that you're making, then you make bad choices and you feel bad about them and then you feel worse about yourself. But you can choose to not do that thing, or you can just not do that thing. And I do think that there's a different energy that goes on when you actually acknowledge that those dishes really need to be done. I don't actually want to do them, so I'm going to choose actively not to do it.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those things where, depending on what we're talking about, it's easy to go, well, but I don't really have a choice, because sometimes it can feel like there is no choice. And that's because the point at which we recognize there was a choice is already past.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's important to know that you're going to realize that you had the choice and you missed it after the fact, and that next time, then you start to go, okay, wait a minute. Maybe I do have a choice. Maybe I don't have to sit here and keep scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can choose something different. And then you only do half the dishes because you ran out of time and it's time to do yoga now. But we have to start trying to be aware. There's so many different things that in the beginning, that awareness is always after the fact.
Yeah.
And you just have to keep working and keep practicing to get better and better and better at recognizing it faster and faster, to the point where you go, you know what? I am going to make the decision not to do the dishes right now. I'm going to give myself this amount of time, and then I'm going to go do the dishes.
Yeah.
And it gets easier, but it is a practice. And you can't expect yourself to be perfect at it the first time. This is one of those things you're gonna find yourself tripped up more often than not in the beginning.
There's no need to be perfect when you actually put it like that, though. And I was reading a reel that said when you are within 25 feet of a high performer, your performance goes up by 15%. When you're within 25 feet of a low performer, your performance goes down by 30%. And I said to my husband, I'm like, you know what, we need to both be high performers, because it's you, me, and the dog. That's the only people we're within 25 feet of. And actually, it's really interesting, because if you look at that again, so when my husband makes the dinner, I'm then more likely to do the dishes, and he's more likely to come along and put the dishes away. And the amount of times when I've been like, oh, I really don't want to do yoga tonight, and he's got the yoga mats out, or he says, are we doing yoga? And I say, oh yeah, can you just go and grab my yoga mat? And we'll do the yoga. And I literally, within a split second of me deciding I don't want to do yoga, he's saying we're doing yoga, and that then makes it so we both do yoga. And when you can piggyback, right now we're doing this podcast, he's outside doing the job that he said that we needed to do, and because I'm in here, he's cleaning up from our insulation job. And then I'm going to be like, okay, well, I now need to go and put some hours in, so let's go and do the chopping down of the burdock. And he doesn't want to do that, but it needs to get done. So therefore, by piggybacking on each other's lack of desire almost, it's like if somebody just pushes, and by seeing him working, it makes me go, I need to do some work.
Yeah.
And allowing each person, if you're in a relationship, taking that step. As you say, it's like if you and Eddie sit down and you write a schedule out as to what going to the Y to go swimming looks like, together you will push each other into doing it, because you'll be making dinner at 5 o'clock. And so because you've made the dinner, Eddie comes along and he does the dishes, because the dishes need to be done. And then while he's doing the dishes, you're packing your bag to go, and you put them in the car. Well, now the bags are in the car. Why would you not go and do it? Ian and I had the same conversation around not eating. Okay, well, what we will do is we will design ourselves. That's going to be the one day a week that we do our yoga for an hour. And I was like, so... some expert says that you have to eat protein within 20 minutes of doing exercise. So if you're not eating for a day and then you do an exercise, like what does the workout look like? And Ian says, well, that's the day that you've got to take a rest day once a week. 1 day out of 7, you don't do hard, intense exercise. So that becomes the day you're fasting. And I'm like, well, that's perfect, because that's the day you do the 1 hour yoga. Slowly, we started to schedule in how is this going to look in our entire week. Okay, now Monday becomes rest day. Cool, Monday's also the day we don't eat. Right, what are we going to do instead? And it's quite fascinating how one little decision can actually steamroll into a whole lot of things that then seem easier. It's that whole automating life, really, I guess. You put your clothes out in the morning, and then you don't have to think about what you're going to wear.
Yeah.
I actually, this morning, I got dressed for the podcast because we were supposed to be going to town. So I'm like, cool, I've showered, got my clothes on. By the time I'm done the podcast, I can get in the car, we can go to town. Dump isn't open today, so we have to go to town tomorrow. So now I'm all dressed up.
And nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. So I had to get undressed and put on my work clothes and go and chop down bird.
So sometimes you have to adapt, right? That's part of life.
That's part of life, and that's it too. No meanings. All right.
Yep.
I think we've pretty much gone around the maypole a few times with this. I really hope that this was helpful for you if you are in the stuck state. Ginny brought this up, and I've seen the same thing. We are coming out of a Mars retrograde, and they are saying get ready because we're going to get propelled into energy in March. So knowing that right now it's okay to be in a little bit of a hibernation mode and just be taking small steps in the direction of your vision, getting more aware and aligned with your vision, so that when that energetic push goes from being a sluggish energy to being a more vibrant energy, it's like when you're in your cycle and you're in the winter of your cycle, being in that energy, and that allows you to actually go into the spring of your cycle. But if you push through the slug and you push through the winter, then what's going to happen is you'll be too tired to actually utilize that force that is cosmically there, that is there in your body. So we've talked about this before, but really engaging with those cycles and being gentle with yourself is really important. So sometimes you need to be a robot. Sometimes you just need to make the better choice. And sometimes you just need to go and take a nap. And that's absolutely okay. So I am Natasha Lockey. I am a mountain bike life performance coach. I'm here for you if this is something that you struggle with and you're just looking for accountability, if you're just looking for a strategy, if you're just looking for a way to move through these things, because we're in the messy middle and that is where I thrive. I've been here a lot in my life. I know how to keep myself moving through it. And if it's something that you need a little bit of accountability with, a little bit of a strategy, and figuring out what that vision is, I've got you covered. So reach out to me. You can find me at Betty Go Hard on Instagram. You can find me Natasha Lockey on Facebook. And you can find me on Substack, Natasha Lockey. What about you, Ginny?
Yeah, I'm Ginny Branden. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. And if you are looking to find out a little more information from your pet, or if you're having emotional challenges or behavior challenges, that's a great time to book a session and help get everyone back on the same page so we can get you all back to harmony. You can find me on the web at soulpetconnections.com and on Substack, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under the same handle. Thank you for sticking with us through the weeds today. This was a little bit of a long one, but we hope that we gave you a lot of tips and tricks to work with if you are feeling a little bit stuck right now. And it's also okay if you just need to go take a nap. We appreciate you being here. You can find the podcast on ridingintheweeds.com and on Substack, Instagram, YouTube, as well as Facebook. We'd love to have your likes, comments, shares, and reviews. It's really important to us that we know you're out there, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing day. You got this.